Yeah.
What's up, everybody? This is Akita J, and you are listening to Your Voice, Your Business podcast. And I have one of my favorite videographer slash photographer. He is the bomb. And if you look at my intro on each one of my each one of my podcasts, you'll see that's his work. Yes, Mr. Carlos, aka Mr. ISOV. What's going on, sir?
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate that intro. Akita, I'm doing great, man. Blessed, happy to be here. Appreciate the opportunity. I'm blessed to be here with you.
Wonderful. Tell everybody where you're from.
So I'm originally from upstate New York, Albany, New York to be exact. I moved to Atlanta, Georgia in 2004. Also lived in Savannah, Georgia. Went to college out there, and moved back to Atlanta, and I've been here ever since.
Wow. So, what was the transition like?
Um, I was in the 10th grade when I moved here. So, of course, this was a forced transition from my mom. I didn't really want to leave, but the transition was a little hard at first because, being so young and having friends back home and everything. But just a few months, I was back to, being my old self. And yeah, I'm glad we made that move.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Okay. So, how did you become? What made you want to become a photographer slash videographer?
So, in I want to say 2013 or 2012, I picked up a camera, and of course, like we all have iPhones, we all have camera phones. I think before then, I couldn't even afford an iPhone. I was broke. So I had like a little,
Never.
yeah, I had like a little Android phone. I used to take pictures and stuff like that, and try to get creative with like plants and everything like that. And I think in 2013, I purchased my first camera with like a lens, to interchange up, and just as a hobby to kind of, my best friend, Black Dove. He's a recording artist. He does so many things, but he was actually really heavy into music at the time, and I bought a camera, and I was just like, this could help him. Like I can practice and then take some photos of him, get some little videos, stuff like that. So we took some photos, and then I kind of just fell in love with the process of taking photos and then being able to manipulate the photos and edit the photos, recolor a photo, all of that. And then that just kind of, gradually started to increase my interest into photography. And then I decided to take a real big leap, because camera equipment isn't cheap. So I decided to take a really big leap in, I want to say 2015. And I bought my first big boy camera, and that actually just that started the business. And it started off taking pictures of my girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife. And then the rest is history. Every bit of curiosity led to something else, which led to the growth of ISOV.
So, where did the name ISOV derive?
It's a long story, but I'm gonna make it short. So,
Okay. We got time.
ISOV, V stands for my last name. My last name is Velasquez. Um, and I was working with someone prior to ISOV. Shout out to Montrese, love you sis. We created VIP photography. We were both very interested in photography, and we were just kind of just doing it, together. She was making me feel comfortable with a lot of like my female clients, because I always felt like who am I, a man teaching a woman how to pose? Like, how dare I, So she was very instrumental in helping me, with that comfort with my female clientele, with the business side. I owe a great deal of learning from her. But we has eventually kind of parted ways. And then I kind of, I was playing the video game with my friends, and we run an ISO play all the time, here and there in NBA 2K. And I was just like, I want to rebrand my company, and I'm talking to them, and I'm like, I have to do something with V. And my name on my PSN is ISO Boricua, because I'm Puerto Rican. And we use the ISO play. So I'm like, okay, ISO, I like ISO. But ISO in photography has something to do with like the light settings, the fixture of your light settings, how much light you're allowing into the camera. So that kind of played a double role, and then throwing V in there just for my last name just kind of made sense. So, and it just kind of rolled off the tongue, ISO V. And then, you know, the rest was history. I decided to put it out there. And of course, the pronunciation of ISO V was a little tricky at first. People were like ISO V or I ISO V, and then that's why I started doing the drop. So if you ever see any of my products, you usually at the end see a voice that says by ISO V, and that's instrumental to get people to understand the true pronunciation of ISO V.
Yeah, it's in my video. I heard
Yes, yes, yes.
it. So I know it's so many different photographers, it's so many videographers out
hmm
here. How do you set yourself apart from
So I like to think that when I'm taking photos and I'm taking video and I'm capturing that, um, I like to use certain colors, certain dark colors to accentuate melanin skin. That has just been my calling card. When I started taking photos of my wife, and to see how her skin would glow with some of my edits, without overdoing it, making her, you know, you could work with some photographers, and, you know, this is no shade to photographers. I will never shade a photographer or creative. But some people just don't know how to work with melanated skin. And that right there gave me an edge because it's a way to make you glow without you looking orange, without you looking red, without, you know, trying to figure out that middle ground. And my inspiration for photography is to make every image and make everyone feel like you deserve to be in a magazine. If I take a picture of you and you're an everyday Joe, after we finish taking that picture and you see those edits, you would have enough confidence to be like, I'm submitting this for a magazine article. I'm confident to put this on my company's website. I'm that confident. So a big slogan of mine in the early days of ISOV was, we're gonna bring out that inner model in you. Even if you don't feel like you have that, we're gonna bring that out in you because you deserve to be in a magazine. So that's what sets me apart. I like to dive into that type of color. I like to dive into that type of realism, and I like to make you feel like, you know, I'm a star because you are.
them? Okay. Okay. Gotcha. That's what's up. So a lot of times when we are trying out new ventures and we're trying to be entrepreneurs in a new area of business, we go through struggles.
hmm
We go through tough times. What Name one of the tough times that you went through in the midst of you becoming a successful photographer?
I would say so. Gaining clientele wasn't an issue. I think it's the adaptation of staying on top of your game, and that requires an investment, right? So a big thing for me was I invested in my first camera. I think I spent maybe like $700 on the camera and a lens. It was a Canon 6D. I had a nice little battery grip, which extends my battery life, and I had a 50 millimeter 1.8 lens, and that carried me for a while. You know, it carried me for like 2 or 3 years just using that setup. And I learned it, I mastered it. But when it got to a point when that camera, the technology, you know, changes all the time. I mean, we clearly were just on here talking about technology before we started. It changes a lot, and because I do work in IT as well, I acknowledge that, and I realize that as technology grows, your investment in technology needs to also grow. Hell, we have AirPods, we have, you know, you have Beats on. I'm talking through a microphone. All of these things cost money, right? And I'm a very I don't want to say frugal, but I like to save money. You know, I like to hold on to my coins because I've been in a broke place before and I never want to go back. So investing, and it sometimes it kind of peaks in today as well because you know I've spent thousands of dollars on photography equipment, and it's knowing that okay, you're gonna have to spend some more thousands of dollars later on, and it's just getting over that mental block that me investing the money, it comes back tenfold. But it's just the initial investment. I have buyer's anxiety really bad. Like sometimes I have to buy something and then like I have to click buy and turn away. Like I have to do stuff like that just to kind of get my own mind wrapped around the fact that this is an investment towards your future and it's not something that you're just blowing off. So the biggest challenge was investment, was believing in myself, knowing that the work and the time that I'm putting into it is to invest further into my business.
What what advice would you give someone that is aspiring to become a entrepreneur in photography alone
Mm-hmm.
without a second job?
Mm-hmm. I would say so first, just do it. Um, whether that starts off on your phone, because we all have phones that do amazing 4K quality. We have phones that do everything. Portrait mode on a camera phone is a dangerous technique for you know any type of photographer you know that is stuck in their ways, right? You can get a camera phone and take some amazing photos. So my thing is just start, just do it. um the more you do it, the more you're going to grow a love for it, and the more you'll save, you'll start putting money aside, you'll start investing in yourself. But just doing it is that's the hardest part. It's like because when you're starting a new company, especially a creative side of things like photography, you're looking at so much, like you're doing a lot of research. I know before I started doing this and when I kind of took it really serious, I would spend 8 to 12 hours a day on YouTube just researching some of my favorite photographers and like looking at their techniques and learning the triangle of photography, being ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. Like really trying to figure out how to master that, and then taking that knowledge and just shooting, just going out and shooting. So that is probably the biggest thing. You just got to get up and do it with anything that you have. If you can't afford a $600-700 camera and a $1,200 lens, that's okay. You don't need that. You can start off with a basic camera phone and you can make that work. There are so many creatives that use their iPhone for everything now. You can make it happen. So just do it.
That is so motivating. That is so inspiring, not just for photography, but if you want to start and launch out in a new business, that was good. So, what services do you offer? I know you shot my video, and I believe it was in Buckhead,
Mm-hmm.
and you had your drone. So, I can't even imagine how to even work a drone. My goodness, tell me about the drone because that someone called me.
Yeah.
Someone called me and said, "Do you have a drone that you were just, that you were playing with when you were walking?" I said, "Dude, my photographer did that. He had the drone and he was doing that way before I even got to the video shoot."
Yeah, yeah. So the drone, so I do a lot of photography and videography services. Most of my photography services center around portrait photography, which is typically a one-on-one to like maybe a two-person max session. Where I'm focusing on getting the light right in the images to make you look like that magazine image that you want. So that's a bulk of what I do, but I also do a lot of weddings. I do a lot of event photography. I do a lot of headshots, corporate photo shoots. I do a lot of those things. I also, on the videography side, I do a lot of recap videos. I do some music videos for some artists. It's just I kind of try to dabble in everything. And most times, if I've never done it, usually if a client has reached out to me and it's like, "Hey, have you done it?" I'm like, "You know what? No, but we can do it at a discounted rate, and let's just see how it goes." So the drone story, I had my first international wedding. So I got booked for my first international wedding sometime, I want to say last June or May or something like that. And we were going to Jamaica. They were flying me out, and super excited. Me and my wife were super happy about this. And I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, we're going to be on a resort. The ocean is going to be beautiful. The day is going to be immaculate. I need something that's going to capture that aerial view that I can't do with my camera. So it goes back to investing, right? I invested. I hit pay, and I turned away. And before I knew it, that drone was back here. It was at my house, and I started practicing outside. And then I took that thing to Jamaica, and the aerial footage that we got for the wedding was breathtaking. And now I'm able to incorporate that type of style, and that aerial view that you can't get from anything else. A drone is kind of, if you can afford it and you can get it, it is a necessity for videographers today. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful. And it made your video look amazing. So
Oh
yes.
my God. It's yeah, and of course this is my first season. So no, you have not saw everything,
Right.
but I'm gonna send you a clip with the music, with the song. It just fits perfect. And with that drone, is that an extra fee?
So yes. So
Okay.
drones can be an extra fee, depending on like what you want out of it, right? Like if you're not asking for the drone, and then I'm like creatively thinking of, okay, this is how we're gonna do it. I think for your video, we didn't really add any additional fees for a drone. We just I was just like, you know what, I'm bringing the drone. It's creative. Let's figure this out. But sometimes people may request certain things or certain buildings that they want in a shot. And then that requires me to do like extra recon on drones, because one thing about drones is depending on the size. Now I have like a DJI Pro 4 Mini, and the minis they're under a weight restriction limit, that don't require a license, right? So the bigger the drone, you have to have a pilot license to fly it. And yes, it is very serious. If not, you'll receive a ticket. Like it's very serious because the drone is registered to you. So
Oh wow.
that is it's a big thing. So I've got the mini because I don't have to have a license. That helped. And yeah, it's just I have to check and make sure it's a fly zone. I have to make sure we're good to fly it. If it's a certain building someone wants, like if we're downtown, they're like, "Hey, I need the Mercedes-Benz Stadium." Then that's cool. I'll have to just double check to make sure we can do it, because a lot of places downtown, especially close to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I think there are restrictions with flying drones close to certain areas, because like there's like government buildings close by. Like, want to make sure people aren't doing any type of spying or anything like that. So you will have to follow those restrictions. But yeah, so if it's something specific, they're like, hey, we need this drone shot, and we needed to fly away as we're kissing and go off, and Mercedes Benz behind us, then yes, I'll need to go ahead and see what we can do. But if it's just something I'm thinking about based off of location and I know it well, like Buckhead, then we're usually good to go.
Okay. All right. So what are some name one of your biggest accomplishments?
Ah, man. So my goal, like I said earlier, was to make everyone feel like you belong in a magazine. And my one of my biggest accomplishments was actually getting into a magazine. I had a few magazines reach out to me. It was a few small magazines, but nonetheless, I have some magazines that reached out to me, and they wanted to publish some of my work. So to become a published photographer was a big dream and a stepping stone for me. So that was outside of getting my first international gig. I would say that was one of my biggest accomplishments. I actually have like two of my magazines, and I love having them. I have them, in my office and stuff like that framed. So those things right there, I can't trade. It's that's something I can show my kids in the future. Like, hey, your dad had photos that he took, and they're in a magazine, and that right there is extremely cool.
That's what's up. So how can you be reached?
I can be reached via IG at ISO underscore V, and as in Victor or Velasquez photography, all one word. You can reach me on YouTube, ISO V photography, all together. I'm also on Facebook, ISOV photography as well. And yeah, I'm all over social media platforms. I'm on TikTok at ISOV photography as well. So yeah.
Well, that's where I found you because
Yeah.
I'm new to Atlanta, and I'm like, you know what? Everybody's trying to charge an arm and a leg, but I
Oh
will say
man.
that your prices, I saw it because everybody's a celebrity.
Oh,
So it's like it was so funny. I'm like, I need to find someone that's in my price range
right.
that's not going to break my pockets. And I can honestly say that your prices were very reasonable. Not only were they reasonable, you offer discounts. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was just so what's up. And it wasn't like, oh, well, I know her, I'm going to give her a discount. No, you didn't know me.
No,
You didn't know me,
no.
and you gave me a good deal. And that was for 2 hours. Do you not know my whole hair sweated out? When we were shooting, boy, I was like,
It
I
was a
need to
hot
go back.
day. It was a
It was
hot
so hot.
day. It we did not expect that day to be that hot. And I'm just so glad we ended where we ended in some type of shade, because
Oh
oh
my
man.
God.
I think
My
I think right after that day I made a video like, okay, if you want to book with ISOV, we got to do it in studio.
it's,
Like,
man, it was so hot. It was so
yes.
hot, but you couldn't tell until like the end. But
Right.
hey, I was still
You
the
did
video was
you did
good.
it. You did it.
But hey, it
You did
worked.
it.
And went home and I cut all my hair off. I was like, it's too hot. I'm like, it is too hot.
Got you.
But I thank you so much for taking the time out. Of course, this is a Saturday and it is very early and we had a lot of technical difficulties, but I thank you for helping me set up everything.
No
And once
problem.
again, thank you so much for doing Your Voice, Your Business podcast. Until next week, I will see you guys next time. And remember, somebody is waiting to hear your voice. Have a wonderful week.
By ISOV.